Next question. How did you treat your parents when you were teenagers?
Why isn't the question, how did your parents treat you?
Yeah, well, maybe that's the question we'll answer. My parents were a little overbearing, I would say, because I had two older siblings, and usually that means they sort of kick down doors for you and they care a little less by the
Yeah.
time the younger child is doing things. But I kind of blame my older brother and sister for being so well behaved and never screwing up and never getting into trouble that by the time I got to high school, even though I was a good kid and doing well in school, the fact that I was the one who was like staying out late and going to some high school parties and, drinking a little bit in high school, like that seemed like a huge deal to them because my older brother and sister didn't do any of that.
Yeah. So I was the older kid. So my parents were far more overbearing with me, in my opinion, than my sister, for sure. She was allowed out way more without like
stopped caring
question.
for
They
Jen.
stopped caring. But at the same time, my sister and I, we were very good kids compared to other people I went to high school with. So I always felt like I was wrongly judged and punished or grounded for things that really didn't need to be done.
Sure.
Like, it's like sometimes I just think some parents, especially when it's their first kid, they want to teach a lesson to their kid just to like, you're in high school, you did something kind of wrong, but like, it's honestly not that bad, but we're going to punish you anyways. And here's your consequence. I don't handle punishments and consequences very well when they don't make sense and when you're not going to learn anything from it. I was a smartass, and I'll just tell this story because
You probably would have been so hard to parent.
probably, but I was a good kid, so that was my argument. I always got good grades. I didn't do hard drugs. Like I wasn't doing anything wrong in my defense.
Sure.
So I remember this. So I went to I must have been 16 because I had a car. I had a license and I could drive on my own. So I was 16. I was at a boyfriend's house at the time. I swear to God, fell asleep watching a movie. It was the weekend. I fell asleep. I failed to answer my phone.
Yeah.
I wake up at 2 or something in the morning and realize like, fuck, like, because I was supposed to call at least or like go
Yeah.
home. I'm clearly not drinking because I'm driving. I hadn't drank. Like nothing's going
You're
on.
16
I'm
too.
16 and I'm 16. I drive right home and my mom is there really upset with me.
Oh yeah.
Because I fell asleep and failed to call her. That was obviously wrong on my behalf.
Because she didn't know where her
I know,
daughter was until 2 in the
but I
morning.
explained, and clearly everything was fine. Like, I mean, I wasn't doing anything wrong, and I
Okay.
wasn't out partying and drinking, which was the fear. I
Yeah.
think. I think she thought like I just went out and partied,
Okay.
which I was not doing. So I came home, like obviously apologized begrudgingly, and then later I find out that my punishment is her taking my car keys away, but I used that car to drive myself, my sister, and our family's friends' kids to school every day because we lived 45 minutes from our school because it was the only French immersion in the region. And our parents didn't really drive us to school and there was no public transit that made
So your
sense.
punishment is you
So
can't
my
go to school?
punishment was like, we're not giving you any reasonable way to go to school, neither your sister or their friends. So I just made the executive decision that like, this punishment actually makes no sense. So on Monday, I took the spare keys and drove everyone to school. And then I said later, I'm like, think of a better punishment. Like, this makes no sense. So I obviously was wrong and irresponsible by falling asleep and failing to call. But at the time, I'm just like, this is so dumb. I literally like, I'm not doing the bad things that parents are just thinking of. Like she was projecting what I guess her friends' kids were doing bad because other kids were doing bad things. I wasn't, and I felt like I was just like I have to parent my parents. So I was a smart ass, but I just think of that story as funny because the one time I got grounded and punished, it made no sense.
Well, they didn't have experience punishing you since you were
They were
such
learning.
a goody two shoes, right?
I wasn't a goody two shoes. I wanted some freedom to live my life too and like be able to go to my boyfriends.
And you know what? That is a hard balance for parents. In a lot of ways, children are kind of teaching their parents as they go as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's hard to know. It's not easy parenting children and knowing that balance between being responsible and a disciplinary voice, but also, especially for a teenager, just like knowing those boundaries you have to give them. Like I don't want to say who, but like I know of someone who doesn't let their teenage kid like have their cell phone without supervision.
Yeah.
And to me, that is just like bordering on, I don't want to be hyperbolic, but like I think that is a really terrible thing to do to your kids, to not give them that sort of freedom.
It's the opposite of harm reduction. By holding back all these things that all their friends have, what do you think they're going to do? They're just going to go on their friend's phone, and then they're going to rebel and do something maybe worse.
Yeah. But it's a tough balance, and we're not
We're not
we're
parents.
not parents, so
I
it's
don't
hard to
know.
say.
So I'm only speaking from the perspective of having been parented.
All right. Next
But
question.
maybe just to close that off, it's hard. I know your parents, maybe they're tough on you, maybe you hate them, but they're trying to do their best, presumably, and they want to,
Hopefully.
and they hopefully want the best for you. So sometimes you just got to, suck it up a little and like try and see where they're coming from.